Imagine waking up at the crack of dawn, the sharp chill of the early morning air biting at your skin as the first rays of sunlight break over the horizon. You feel the roughness of the blankets that have offered little comfort through the cold night, the creak of the wooden floorboards as you stand. Outside, the world is wide and wild, a land untouched by the convenience of modern life. The faint sound of a distant coyote's howl cuts through the stillness, signaling the start of another grueling day on the frontier. As you step outside, the ground beneath your boots feels cold and uneven, the earth dry and cracked from the unforgiving sun. The wind carries the scent of dust and sagebrush, a sharp reminder of the harshness of this land. The vast, empty plains stretch for miles in every direction, the horizon a distant line where sky and earth meet in an unyielding embrace. There's no shelter here, no refuge from the land that refuses to give. You pull your jacket tighter around you, bracing for the long day ahead. The morning air, though crisp, is quickly replaced by the heat that begins to rise from the land. There is no relief here, not from the sun, not from the winds, not from the endless demands of survival. The land is beautiful in its starkness, but it offers little in return for those who dare call it home. As you begin your daily chores, the weight of the work quickly becomes apparent. Your hands ache from the constant labor, whether it's tending to the crops, fixing the barn, or caring for the livestock. Each task is an endless cycle, a loop that leaves no room for rest or comfort. The only reward is the satisfaction of completing something, if only for it to be undone the next day. Your back aches from the bending and lifting, your hands rough and cracked from the constant exposure to the elements. The work is exhausting, yet it never seems to stop. Food is scarce, and what you have is never enough. You rely on your hunting skills, on the small patch of land you've managed to cultivate, and the few livestock you've been able to raise. There's no store to run to, no convenient marketplace where you can buy what you need. Everything is earned through sweat and perseverance, or, in many cases, sheer luck. A failed hunt, a crop that doesn't grow, an animal lost to illness. All of these are immediate threats to your survival. Every day is a gamble, a test of whether you will have enough to eat, whether the coming storm will destroy your crops, or whether the next day will bring sickness or injury. The land itself is unpredictable. One day it's hot and dry, the next it's cold and wet, with no warning. The weather is as harsh and fickle as the people who have come here to try and make a life. You've heard the stories of wealth and opportunity in the West, but the reality is far different. This land offers no promises, no guarantees. It's a place where only the toughest can endure, where survival is the only goal and comfort is a distant dream. As the sun climbs higher, you turn your attention to the animals. You check on the cattle, their ribs visible beneath the dusty coats, their eyes dull from the lack of nourishment. The horses stand nearby, grazing lazily, but you know better than to trust in their calm. Any moment could bring trouble, whether from a dangerous storm, a wild animal, or even other people. Out here, trust is earned, and the stakes are always high. The constant vigilance required to survive makes even the simplest of tasks feel like a battle. The sound of a horse's hooves draws your attention, and you glance up to see a neighbor riding toward you. They too are hardened by this life, toughened by the same trials you face daily, but there is little comfort in their arrival. The conversation will be brief, the exchange of news and supplies cold, businesslike. There's no time for pleasantries in this unforgiving land. Every minute spent is another minute worked, and the clock never stops ticking. As the day stretches on, the heat becomes unbearable. You feel the sweat trickle down your back, your clothes clinging to your body. The sun seems to burn hotter with each passing hour, the air thick with the dust that rises from the ground. The landscape around you, though vast and beautiful, feels suffocating. There is nowhere to hide, no place to escape. You are bound to the land, tethered by the need to survive. Every movement is heavy with fatigue, and yet there is no time for rest. The cattle need tending, the crops need water, and the shelter must be maintained. The land offers little forgiveness, and every day you wake up to find the same cycle repeating itself. The constant labor, the fear of scarcity, the need to endure. In the quiet moments when the sun finally dips below the horizon and the cool of the evening settles in, you can't help but wonder how much longer you can keep this up. The Wild West, with its promise of opportunity and freedom, has become a place of relentless survival. The hope of success is a distant memory, and what remains is the day-to-day struggle to simply stay alive. The morning sun begins to climb higher, casting a warm golden hue across the land. The silence of the Wild West is broken only by the occasional rustle of wind moving through the dry grass and the rhythmic sound of footsteps crunching over the earth. The land is vast and barren, offering little more than endless stretches of dirt and the occasional cactus or scraggly tree. The horizon seems distant, unreachable, as if mocking your attempt to escape the relentless grind of daily life. You know there is no escape. There is only the land and the work that never stops. You stand in front of the small cabin, its wooden planks weathered by years of exposure to the sun and wind. The chimney is still warm from last night's fire, but there is no time to linger. As you look around, the reality of your situation settles in. There is no convenience, no luxury, and certainly no comfort. Just survival. The first task of the day is to check on the livestock. You head toward the small pen where your few cattle are kept. The dry earth crunches underfoot, each step sending a cloud of dust into the air. The cattle stand motionless, their ribs visible beneath their rough coats. The heat already begins to press down on you as you approach them. Your hands rough from the work, your face damp with sweat. You reach down to scoop water from the trough, but as you lift the bucket, you realize it's almost empty. It's going to be another long, hot day, with no relief in sight. The cattle are thirsty, their eyes dull from dehydration, their movements sluggish. You know that it's only a matter of time before you have to move them to a new grazing spot, but the land offers little in the way of fresh grass. You give them what little water remains, though you know it's not enough. Every drop is precious, and even though you're running low, you have no choice but to give it to them. Without the cattle, there is no livelihood, no means of survival. You move on to the crops next. The small patch of land that you've been struggling to cultivate has been hard hit by the arid conditions, and the sparse rows of corn are barely holding on. Each plant looks weak, their leaves curled from the relentless sun. You kneel down, feeling the heat radiating from the soil as you dig your fingers into the earth, hoping for moisture that is not there. The crops are wilting, and with them, your hopes for a successful harvest. There is no irrigation system, no machines to help you, just your hands and the endless toil of keeping the land alive. The hours pass slowly, each minute a reminder of the isolation that defines your existence. You feel the weight of the work pressing on your shoulders, your body aching from the physical labor. The sun beats down relentlessly, and the land, as vast as it is, seems to close in on you. There's nowhere to hide, no place to escape the endless cycle of work. The promise of freedom that once drew you to this land feels like a distant memory now, replaced by the harsh realities of survival. As you finish with the crops, you turn your attention to the small shack where you've stored the few supplies you have left. A bag of flour, a tin of beans, a few small bags of dried meat. There isn't much. The storehouses are always low, and every trip to town feels like a gamble. Even when you have the money to buy more, there are often no goods left to purchase. The town is far enough away that it's a full day's journey to get there and back, and the roads are dangerous. Bandits, wild animals, or worse, other desperate settlers, can make even the simplest trip an ordeal. Your thoughts are interrupted by the distant sound of hooves. The soft thud of horses' feet on the earth signals the approach of another traveler. You look up, squinting in the bright light as a rider comes into view, kicking up dust with each stride. You straighten up, brushing the dirt off your hands and wiping the sweat from your brow as the rider draws nearer. It's a neighbor, someone from a nearby plot of land. You don't know them well, but the silence between you speaks volumes. There is little to say and even less time for conversation. The work here doesn't allow for anything but the most essential exchanges. Who needs help with what, who's running low on supplies, and where to find water or shelter. You exchange a brief greeting, and then the conversation shifts to the same topics it always does. The weather, the crops, the animals. There's no room for pleasantries. There's only survival. They leave after a few minutes, riding off into the heat, disappearing into the vast landscape as quietly as they arrived. You watch them go, feeling the weight of the silence settle back around you. The land feels even lonelier in their absence, as if you are the only one left to bear the weight of this endless. The sun is high now, casting long shadows across the earth. The heat presses down on you as you begin your afternoon chores, the work never stopping, never easing. You can feel the exhaustion seeping into your bones, but there is no time to rest. The cattle need to be moved, the crops need to be watered, and the land, though indifferent, must be tended to. There is no end in sight, just another long day in the Wild West. As the day draws to a close, you stand outside, looking out over the land. The sun sets slowly, casting long, dark shadows across the horizon. The world feels quiet, almost peaceful, but you know better. The work will continue tomorrow and the day after that. The struggle to survive will never end. The afternoon stretches on, the heat relentless as the sun sinks lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the barren land. The air feels heavy, as if the very atmosphere is saturated with dust, and every breath is a reminder of the harsh world around you. The sounds of the day, distant caws of ravens, the subtle crunch of your boots on the earth, are the only signs of life. In this vast, empty expanse, it's easy to forget that danger is never far away. The land, though beautiful in its vastness, is fraught with hidden dangers, lurking just beyond the horizon, waiting to strike when least expected. The threat of the elements is ever present. The land offers no mercy when it comes to the weather. One day the sky is clear, the sun shining down in a hot, dry blaze. The next, a storm can roll in from nowhere, bringing with it torrential rain, hail, or winds strong enough to strip the trees bare. In the Wild West, the weather doesn't give warnings, and it can change on a dime. A gentle breeze in the morning can quickly turn into a vicious gust, knocking over anything not bolted down. In an instant, a day meant for simple tasks like checking on cattle or tending to crops can transform into a battle for survival. You've learned to respect the weather, but it doesn't always follow the rules. On days when the heat is unbearable, you find yourself squinting into the sun, trying to shield your eyes from the glare. The dry soil beneath your feet kicks up into your face, a constant reminder that this land does not nurture. Even the simplest of tasks becomes a struggle. The wind, hot and dry, bites at your skin as you make your way across the open fields. The landscape around you looks like a painting, still, quiet, vast, but the silence holds a certain menace. You know it's not just the elements you must worry about. The threats of nature come in many forms. The land is teeming with wildlife, and while some of it is harmless, many creatures here are as dangerous as they are beautiful. From rattlesnakes hidden in the dry grass to mountain lions stalking the edge of the forest, there are constant reminders that you are not on the top of the food chain. The animals here do not fear humans, and their instincts make them deadly when threatened. Even the cattle, which seem so docile at first, can turn aggressive if they feel cornered, and a kick from one of them can easily break bones. The rattlesnakes are the worst. They are often hidden in plain sight, coiled in the long grass or sunning themselves on the rocks. You've learned to spot their warning rattle, a sound that fills you with immediate dread. It's a reminder that, no matter how cautious you are, danger is always near. The first time you heard that rattle, you froze. Every muscle in your body tensed as the unmistakable sound filled the air. Your heart raced as you slowly backed away, your breath shallow, not daring to take your eyes off the snake. It was a close call, and a reminder that, in the Wild West, the smallest mistake could be your last. Even the smallest creatures can pose a threat. The wild animals, while beautiful, are unpredictable. In the distance, you spot a hawk soaring high in the sky, its sharp eyes scanning the ground below for prey. Though it's not a threat to you, its presence is a reminder that the food chain is always in motion. You've heard stories of people being stalked by predators, sometimes for days, only to be caught when they least expect it. Even the land itself is a hostile entity. Sharp rocks that cut through your boots, thorn bushes that tear at your skin, and the constant, unforgiving sun that beats down on you with no mercy. But perhaps the most insidious threat is not the animals, the weather, or the harsh conditions. It's the disease. The water in this land is often contaminated, and the chance of sickness is ever present. Typhoid, cholera, and dysentery are common, and there's no reliable way to prevent them. Every time you drink from the well, a part of you wonders if this will be the day you fall ill. The lack of proper sanitation makes it easy for diseases to spread, and without proper medical care, even the most minor injury can turn deadly. You've seen people get sick, seen them waste away in days, their bodies ravaged by illnesses that seem to come out of nowhere. You can feel it in the air, the ever-present threat of disease, waiting for its opportunity to strike. And it's not just the land that poses a danger, it's the people. Out here in the middle of nowhere, survival can drive even the most peaceful man to violence. Bandits, desperados, and outlaws roam the territory, looking for an opportunity to steal, murder, or wreak havoc. Lawlessness runs rampant, and the closest thing to order is the occasional sheriff, who is as likely to be corrupted as he is to enforce the law. In the wild frontier, there are no guarantees of safety. Trust is a rare commodity, and you've learned not to rely on others, except for the few neighbors who are equally as desperate to survive. As the sun begins to set and the temperature drops, the landscape takes on a different feel. The heat of the day has given way to the cooler evening air, but the danger doesn't dissipate. It lingers, quiet and unseen, like a shadow that follows you wherever you go. The land feels alive with it. The sounds of the night are punctuated by the call of coyotes, the rustle of animals moving through the underbrush, the distant hoot of an owl. It's a land that is always watching, always waiting, and you can't help but feel that every moment you spend here is a reminder that survival is never certain. You can't escape it, not the land, the animals, the people, or the isolation. The Wild West is a place that takes as much as it gives. Every day is a reminder that you are at the mercy of forces far beyond your control. But you keep going, because survival is all there is. It's the only thing that matters. The night falls like a heavy blanket, draping the land in a silence that is both comforting and suffocating. The heat of the day dissipates, leaving behind the cool, crisp air of the evening. Yet the land is far from peaceful. It is a quiet that is pregnant with tension, an underlying hum of constant danger that lingers even as the world slows down. The fading light stretches across the vast, empty plains, casting long shadows that seem to stretch on forever. The wind picks up again, this time colder, carrying with it the scent of sagebrush and dry earth. You can feel the weight of it all, the land, the isolation, the constant threats, and it presses in on you like a physical force, reminding you that out here, safety is never certain. As the darkness settles, you pause for a moment, the weight of the day catching up with you. The fatigue from hours of labor pulls at your limbs, but the quiet of the evening is deceptive. You know that this is when the land feels most alive, when the dangers of the Wild West take on a different form. It's the time when you must be most cautious, when the peace is nothing more than a fleeting illusion. The night is full of the sounds of the wild. You hear the faint rustling of bushes as creatures move through the underbrush, the chirping of crickets, the distant howl of coyotes hunting in packs. There is a certain beauty to it, yes, but it is a beauty tinged with danger. The coyotes, with their haunting calls, are a reminder that even the smallest of creatures here can become a threat. You have seen them before, gathered in packs, their glowing eyes locked onto their prey. They are not the fearsome predators that you imagine, but a constant reminder that the land does not give in easily. The creatures here are both part of the landscape and part of its danger. You continue your walk toward the stable, the air growing colder with each step. As you approach, the creaking of the wooden door sounds louder than it should. The small barn where your animals rest for the night offers some comfort, but it too is a place of uncertainty. The animals need tending, but so does your own sense of security. You move cautiously, your hand resting on the handle of the barn door. It's only a slight motion, but in the stillness of the night, it feels too loud, too obvious. You can almost hear the land holding its breath, waiting to see what will happen next. Inside, the faint smell of hay and animal musk fills the air. The stable is dimly lit, a single lantern flickering in the corner, casting long shadows across the floor. The horses shift restlessly, their ears flicking at the slightest noise. You check on them one by one, but even this task feels more urgent tonight. The horses are skittish, more so than usual. You sense it too, the quiet unease that has settled over the land. It's as if something is just beyond the edge of your vision, waiting to emerge from the darkness. The temperature continues to drop as the night deepens. You finish with the animals and step outside again, locking the barn door behind you. The night feels colder now, and the sky is a deep indigo, filled with a million stars that seem to offer no comfort. The quiet is more intense, as though the world is holding its breath. The moon is high now, casting a pale glow over the land, but it does nothing to erase the sense of unease that lingers in the air. The dangers that plague the Wild West are not always physical. Sometimes the real threat lies in the unseen, the hidden forces that slip through the cracks of daily life. The bandits, the outlaws, and the criminals that lurk in the shadows, always looking for an opportunity to take what's not theirs. You've heard the stories of peaceful travelers being ambushed on lonely roads, of families disappearing without a trace. The fear is subtle but real, and it is a constant companion in the West. Out here, trust is earned, and the slightest mistake can cost you everything. You hear a sound behind you, faint but unmistakable, the crunch of boots on the dry earth. Your hand moves instinctively to the side, where you know the handle of your rifle waits. You freeze, your senses alert as the sound grows closer. In the distance, the shape of a rider becomes visible. You hold your breath, waiting to see who it is. The rider approaches slowly, the silhouette just barely visible against the darkened landscape. A lone figure, riding with a steady, purposeful gait. The horse's hooves strike the ground with a rhythmic, methodical sound. There is no hurry, no rush, as if the rider knows no one will challenge them. As the figure comes closer, you relax slightly. It's not an outlaw, just a neighbor, heading home after a long day's work. But the tension doesn't completely leave you. It's not just the outlaws you have to worry about. It's the land itself, the diseases that linger in the water, the danger of illness from the isolation, and the unseen perils of the wilderness. Even your most trusted neighbor could be hiding a secret. The truth is, in the Wild West, anyone could be a threat. Survival here depends not just on your ability to work hard, but on your ability to remain ever watchful. As the rider passes, you exchange a few brief words, but the conversation is clipped, as it always is. There's no time for small talk in the Wild West. The people you meet out here, though helpful, are always just as wary of you as you are of them. After all, everyone is fighting the same battle: survival. No one here is safe. No one can afford to drop their guard, not even for a moment. As the rider fades into the distance, you turn back to your cabin, your hand still resting on the handle of your rifle. The night seems quieter now, but the danger remains. The Wild West is a place of contradictions, beautiful, untamed, and harsh. It offers freedom, but at a cost. Every day is a new challenge, and every day you wake up and choose to survive, knowing that tomorrow will bring the same struggle. The night deepens, and the first hint of chill brushes your skin. The sounds of the Wild West at night are quieter, more subtle, but no less dangerous. The distant calls of coyotes, the low rustling of nocturnal creatures moving through the underbrush, fill the silence like a symphony of the land's hidden life. The earth feels colder now, and the sky above is speckled with stars, each one a distant point of light in an otherwise endless sea of darkness. The vastness of it all, the land, the night, the solitude, feels almost suffocating, like being trapped in a landscape too big to comprehend. Yet you find solace in the quiet, a momentary peace before the cycle of survival resumes. As you settle inside the small cabin, you take a deep breath, grateful for the shelter, even though it is nothing more than a few weathered planks nailed together. The fire crackles in the hearth, the warmth from the flames a welcome comfort against the coldness of the night. Yet, even here, in this small space of temporary refuge, you know that comfort is fleeting. Tomorrow will come, and with it, the endless cycle of labor and vigilance. The fire casts long shadows on the walls, flickering and dancing like ghosts of the past. You sit down at the rough-hewn table, your hands still caked with dust from the day's work. The day has been long, tiring, exhausting, but not uncommon. You've spent hours in the hot sun, tending to the crops, checking the cattle, and hauling water from the well. Each task is an ongoing necessity, part of the routine that you've grown accustomed to over the years. The simplicity of it is both comforting and cruel. There is no time for anything else. No time for rest. No time for dreams. You glance at the small, half-eaten meal in front of you. Beans and dried meat. The staples that have become the foundation of your diet. There are no luxuries here. The taste is bland, but it's enough to sustain you. You are grateful for it, but you can't help but wonder when, or if, things will ever change. Will there ever be enough? Enough food, enough water, enough comfort to make life bearable beyond just survival? The questions linger, but you know there are no answers to them out here. The land doesn't care about your wants or desires. It only cares if you can survive, if you can adapt, if you can endure the endless days that stretch on without end. The work never stops. The needs of the land, the animals, the crops, they all require attention, and you are the one who must provide it. There is a deep, gnawing tiredness in your bones as you sit by the fire, your body aching from the physical strain. Your hands are raw, your shoulders stiff. Every part of you is exhausted, and yet you know that when you wake up tomorrow, the cycle will begin again. You can feel the weight of it pressing down on you, the constant, unrelenting need to survive. You have learned to accept this life, to embrace the struggle, because it is all you know. There is no escape from the rhythm of survival. It is as constant as the rising sun. The fire pops and crackles, and for a moment you close your eyes, imagining the world beyond the cabin. The open plains, the dry mountains, the endless sky. You think of the people who have come here before you, who have fought, struggled, and ultimately survived. Some have thrived, but most have fallen to the land's indifferent cruelty. The stories of success, of wealth, of fortune, are few and far between. For most, survival is the only victory. You hear the faint rustling outside, the movement of wind or animals, but it's not enough to stir you. You have learned to let the night pass without fear, to listen to the sounds of the wilderness as a part of the natural rhythm. The Wild West is a place of extremes, beautiful and harsh, a land of opportunity and despair. But in the end, it is simply a land, and you are just one small part of its endless cycle. Outside, the coyotes begin their chorus again, their howls rising and falling in the night air. It is a sound that once filled you with unease, but now it simply marks the passage of time. You realize that this is it, the cycle of survival, the rhythm of the land, the unbroken chain of work, rest, and vigilance. There is no end to it, only continuity. You rise from your seat, moving to the window and looking out into the vast darkness beyond. The night is quiet now, the world still under the moon's watchful eye. There is no sign of danger tonight, no immediate threat, but you know that in this place, danger is never far. It could come in the form of a storm, a wild animal, or the ever-looming threat of disease. It could come in the form of a neighbor needing help, or a neighbor you can't trust. Yet, despite all the dangers, you feel a quiet acceptance. This is the life you chose, or perhaps the life that chose you. It's a life built on endurance, on resilience. A life where survival is the only true victory. The fire burns low now, and you know that sleep is just moments away. But before you settle into the restless, uneasy slumber of the frontier, you take a final look around the cabin. The work of the day is done, and for a brief moment, there is peace. The world outside is dark and quiet, the Wild West standing guard over its own untamed beauty. Tomorrow, the cycle will begin again. The silence of the night deepens around you, broken only by the soft crackling of the fire and the distant howls of coyotes. The land stretches out before you, vast, empty, and indifferent. It is a quiet, expansive emptiness that settles over your heart, weighing it down with the burden of isolation. The stars above glitter coldly in the black sky, each one distant and untouchable, much like the people and comforts you left behind when you first set foot in this unforgiving land. The Wild West offers no sanctuary from loneliness, only the constant reminder that you are alone in a world that demands your constant labor. The cabin is small, almost cramped, but it's all you have. It's a shelter from the harshness of the outside world, a temporary respite from the relentless demands of the land. But even here, in the quiet darkness of your home, you feel the weight of isolation pressing down on you. There are no neighbors within a day's ride, no family to share a meal with, no friends to pass the time with. There's only you and the land, two forces locked in a constant struggle for survival. You sit in the dim light of the fire, your hands resting in your lap as you reflect on the isolation that defines your existence. The world feels so far away, so distant from the bustling towns and lively gatherings you've heard about, from those who've passed through the frontier. Out here, there are no distractions, no luxuries, just endless hours of labor, punctuated by fleeting moments of rest. There is no time for socialization, no time for the comforts of home. There is only the constant need to survive. At times, the isolation feels like a weight on your chest, a constant reminder of how far removed you are from everything familiar. The land is beautiful in its vastness, yes, but it is also cold and indifferent. You've learned to fend for yourself, to find solace in the solitude, but there are moments, like now, when the loneliness becomes too much to bear. You remember the first days you spent on the frontier, the excitement and the thrill of the unknown. You arrived with dreams of wealth and freedom, hoping that the Wild West would offer you a new life. But now, after months of isolation, you see the truth of it all. This land does not give freely. It demands everything from you. It takes, and when you have nothing left to give, it leaves you to face its challenges alone. The sound of a twig snapping outside catches your attention, and you freeze. Your heart skips a beat, but you remind yourself that there's no real danger. You've been living with the land for so long that the smallest noises now send a jolt of adrenaline through your body. Out here in the wilderness, every sound is amplified, every rustle a potential threat. You get up cautiously, your boots heavy on the floor, as you peer out through the window, half expecting to see something or someone lurking in the shadows, but there is nothing. The land, silent once again, offers no answers. You let out a breath, and the tension in your shoulders eases slightly. But the feeling of unease lingers. Even in the safety of your cabin, you are never truly alone. There is always the threat of danger, whether from the land itself, the creatures that roam the night, or the unpredictable nature of other settlers. The frontier is lawless, a place where survival is the only rule, and trust is a luxury that few can afford. It's a constant cycle of uncertainty and isolation, and it's a feeling that never truly leaves you. As you sit back down by the fire, you try to push the thoughts of loneliness away. You focus on the flickering flames, their dance casting long, wavering shadows on the walls. It's a small comfort, but it's enough. For a brief moment, the isolation fades, replaced by the rhythmic, soothing sound of the fire. The world outside seems far away, and the warmth from the flames fills the cabin, though the coldness of the land never quite leaves you. You are reminded of the words of others who have come to the frontier before you. Words of hardship, of endurance, of survival. There is no easy way through this life, no shortcuts, no promise of success. It is a world that tests you at every turn, forcing you to adapt or perish. You've learned that survival out here is not just about physical endurance, but about mental resilience. It's about learning to live with the isolation, to make peace with the solitude. There is no one to rely on but yourself, and in that, you find both strength and sorrow. The night wears on, and as you prepare for bed, you reflect on the long days ahead. Tomorrow will bring more work, more challenges, but for tonight, you allow yourself to rest, if only for a few hours. The land will wait, and when morning comes, the cycle will begin again. The isolation is a part of your life now, as much a part of you as the land itself. You have learned to live with it, to endure it, and in the quiet of the night, you remind yourself that survival is the only victory. The night continues its quiet march, the air growing colder as the hours pass. The fire has dimmed to embers, its glow flickering weakly in the corner of the cabin. Outside, the world is enveloped in a shroud of darkness, the land stretching endlessly into the horizon, untouched and unmoving. The silence is profound, almost oppressive. It's the silence of isolation, a constant companion in the Wild West. Yet beneath that silence there are forces at work, forces you can't always see, but that you know are there, lurking just beyond the edges of your awareness. You feel it in your bones, the weight of the land, its quiet dominance over your existence. The Wild West is more than just a physical place. It is an entity in itself, and it tests you in ways you can't always predict. In the darkness, you can almost feel the land watching you, judging you. The solitude is not just a consequence of distance. It is a part of the very essence of the frontier. It shapes everything, from the work you do to the way you think, to the very way you breathe. The danger is not always something you can fight. It is something that quietly moves through the land, like an invisible tide that creeps in when you least expect it. The land is a living thing, and it doesn't show mercy. The dry winds that whip through the canyon walls aren't just weather. They are warnings. The coyotes that circle in the distance, their eyes gleaming with hunger, are predators, but they are also survivors, much like you. The land teaches you to adapt, to survive, to become one with it, but it does not offer you safety. It offers only the lesson of resilience. Tonight the danger is not visible. It is something deeper. It is the constant threat of disease, of illness, of things unseen. The water you drink, the food you eat, the air you breathe, all carry with them the potential for something deadly. You've heard the stories, of course. The frontier is filled with tales of men and women who have fallen ill, who have been struck down by diseases that no one can control. The cholera, the typhoid, the dysentery, each one a reminder of the fragility of life here. There is no doctor on hand, no medicine cabinet stocked with cures. There is only what you can carry with you, an elixir of hope, but nothing more. The ever-present threat of disease has shaped your routines. You boil water before drinking it, always cautious, always calculating the risks. You wash your hands with whatever you can find, knowing that even the smallest oversight could lead to a rapid downfall. It's a constant battle against something invisible, something that can slip into your life and tear it apart in a matter of days. You've seen it before, families struck down by fever, by illness, with no one around to help. You've learned to fear the quiet moments, the moments when your body aches and there's no explanation for it. The mind races. Could it be the water? Could it be the dust? You never know. But it's not just disease that threatens. The land itself is always changing, shifting beneath your feet. The droughts, the dust storms, the endless sun, they wear you down over time. Your body grows accustomed to the harshness, but that doesn't mean it gets any easier. Each day takes a little more from you, leaving you just a bit weaker, just a bit more vulnerable. You have to fight against the land itself to survive, and even then, you can't be sure of the outcome. The wild animals are another unseen force. They come and go, their movements unpredictable. Sometimes they are a direct threat, like the mountain lions you've heard about, stalking through the night, their yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. Other times they are more of an indirect danger, like the rattlesnakes that lie hidden in the grass, their presence betrayed only by the faint rattle that sends a chill through your body. But the danger they pose is not just physical, it is psychological. It's the knowledge that at any moment the world could turn against you, and you would be powerless to stop it. And then there are the people, the settlers and travelers who pass through. They are, in many ways, just as dangerous as the land itself. You have learned not to trust easily. People here can be kind, but they can also be desperate, willing to do anything to survive. The Wild West is full of outlaws and criminals who prey on the weak, looking for opportunities to rob, steal, and kill. You've heard the stories, how men and women who trusted too easily have been betrayed, how travelers who wandered too far off the beaten path were never seen again. The law is far away, and justice is often a matter of the strongest surviving. Tonight, as you sit by the dimming fire, your mind begins to wander to the unsaid things, the hidden dangers, the threats that linger just beyond your grasp. You've come to accept the harshness of life here, but the knowledge of these unseen forces, the things you can't control, is always with you. The land, the disease, the animals, the people, they are all parts of the same challenge. And it is not just the work that wears you down, it is the constant awareness that danger is always just around the corner, waiting to strike when you least expect it. You finish the last of your meal, the taste of dried meat lingering in your mouth. There is no more comfort to be found tonight. You stand, stretch your aching limbs, and make your way to the small cot in the corner of the room. There is little to look forward to but another day of toil, another day of survival. The fire crackles faintly behind you, and the sounds of the night continue to grow louder, the creatures of the land going about their own cycles of survival. As you close your eyes, you feel the weight of it all, the land, the dangers, the isolation, and you know that tomorrow you will rise again, as you always do, to face another day of the same struggle. The night stretches on, the fire now reduced to a quiet flickering glow, casting elongated shadows that stretch across the wooden floor. The land beyond your cabin remains as silent as ever, the vast dark sky above hanging heavy with the weight of 1,000 untold stories. Out here, the night is never completely dark. The starlight filters through, offering a dim reminder of the world beyond, of the world that remains untouched by the day-to-day struggle of survival. But even as you sit in the dim light, the quiet seems louder, a reminder that the land does not wait for you to rest. The horizon beckons, as it always does. In the distance, the silhouette of distant mountains looms against the star-strewn sky. Their jagged peaks are shadowed in darkness, but they hold a strange allure, offering both an escape and a threat. You've heard tales of those who traveled too far, only to be swallowed by the unforgiving wilderness. The mountains, the open plains, the rivers, they are all beautiful in their way, but they are also harsh, unyielding, and indifferent. They stand as silent witnesses to the lives of those who came before, their struggles and triumphs, their failures and dreams. The land is always just beyond reach. No matter how far you walk, how far you push yourself, there is always more to cover, more to conquer. Yet, there is something inside you that longs to walk beyond the boundaries, to see what lies beyond the horizon. There are whispers of land that is fertile, rivers that run with fresh water, places where the weather is kinder, where the harsh realities of frontier life can be left behind. But these are just stories, and out here stories are often far from the truth. They are ideals painted on the backdrop of an otherwise unforgiving reality. You know, deep down, that the search for a better life, a life beyond the isolation and constant struggle, is what keeps you going. The hope that one day you'll find something better than this daily grind, something more than the dust and sweat and loneliness. But the reality of the land you've chosen to survive on never lets you forget that it is, at its core, a place where comfort is a luxury, not a given. Even as you allow yourself a brief moment of contemplation, a gust of wind rattles the cabin door, a sharp reminder that the Wild West is always in motion. The land never stays still. It is alive, unpredictable, and ever-changing. The wind, cold and biting, sweeps through the cracks of the cabin, causing the embers in the fire to dance wildly. The sudden chill makes you pull your worn jacket tighter around your shoulders. The cold, a reminder that survival in this land requires more than strength. It requires endurance. You have to withstand the elements, the isolation, and the uncertainty that each day brings. It is a world where, in order to stay alive, you must accept the discomfort, the suffering, and the unknown. The horizon beyond the cabin holds both promise and danger, a landscape that is both captivating and terrifying. It is a reminder that, no matter how much you accomplish, there will always be more to face. The journey is never over in the Wild West. It's a land of endless trials, where survival is the only goal and the rest is a fleeting illusion. You rise from your seat by the fire, feeling the weight of the day's labor in your muscles. Your body aches, your hands are raw, and your mind is clouded by fatigue. But you push through because there is no other choice. The land will not wait for you to rest. There are tasks to be done, cattle to be tended, crops to be checked, and fences to be repaired. Even as the night deepens, the work never stops. It is the rhythm of life in the Wild West, a constant cycle of action and consequence. The stars outside twinkle faintly, distant and cold, just as the horizon does. Both are beautiful in their own way, but both are just beyond your reach. The vastness of the land is both overwhelming and awe-inspiring. You've seen the way it stretches out endlessly, inviting you to explore, to conquer, to take it for your own. But you know the truth, that the land can never truly be owned. It is too wild, too untamed, and in the end, it is the land that will outlast you, as it has outlasted every settler, every dreamer, and every soul who has ever come here. You step outside into the cold night air, standing on the porch and looking out across the land. The wind tugs at your coat, and the stars above seem to whisper in their ancient language. The beauty of it all is undeniable, yet the harshness remains. The Wild West is both a land of possibility and a land of hardship, and it's a place where only the strongest survive. The journey you have embarked upon is one that will never truly end, not until the very last breath is drawn, and as the night deepens, the horizon remains, the promise of something more, the challenge of something greater. You do not know what tomorrow will bring, but you know that whatever it is, it will require everything you have. But for tonight, you let yourself breathe. The cycle of survival will begin again at first light, and you will face it, as you always do, with a quiet resolve. The city, once so clouded with the stench of neglect, now carries a faint sense of anticipation. As the first tangible steps toward reform are taken, there's an air of quiet determination among the city's inhabitants. The progress is slow, yes, but undeniable. In the markets, the streets, and the homes of London, the idea that hygiene is something that must be taken seriously is starting to sink in. People no longer think of disease as a mysterious punishment, but as something that can be prevented, if only they work together, if only they push for more change. There is a new energy in the air, one that pulses with the promise of a better future, though it is still shrouded in the thick fog of skepticism. You walk through the streets, noticing that the usual disregard for the poor and their health is beginning to fade. The city's wealthier districts are now beginning to make visible efforts to address the cleanliness of their streets, their sewers, and their public spaces. The residents of the upper class, who once dismissed the plight of the poor, now see the cost of their ignorance. The ripple effect of the reforms has begun to spread throughout the city's social strata, and though resistance remains, it is starting to break down. People are realizing that the filth that once filled their streets, their homes, and their bodies is not just a problem for the poor, it's a problem for everyone. You pass by a public health meeting in a small, bustling square where a group of reformers are passionately speaking to a crowd of citizens. They are discussing the importance of regular sanitation inspections, the need for better waste disposal methods, and the benefits of sterilization in medical procedures. The crowd listens intently, some with doubt still in their eyes, but others with a newfound sense of hope. They're beginning to understand that the disease they have long accepted as inevitable is in fact preventable. It's a hard truth to swallow, the realization that so many lives have been lost due to ignorance, but it's one that is beginning to spread through the population like wildfire. The streets around you are beginning to change as well. A new system of waste management is in the works, though it is still in its infancy. You see the beginnings of proper waste bins, now placed at strategic points throughout the city, a small but hopeful sign that the sanitation issue is finally being addressed. There are workers who go from street to street, collecting refuse and removing it from public view, even as the stench lingers faintly in the corners of the city. But it's progress. It's small, but it's a start. The reformers are beginning to influence not just the public, but also the political leaders. More and more voices are calling for action, demanding that the city's leaders invest in public health, in sanitation, and in the infrastructure necessary to support a growing, modern city. The resistance is still there, particularly from those who stand to lose the most if reforms take place, but they are beginning to lose their grip. The forces of change are gaining strength, and with each passing day, more citizens are joining the movement, adding their voices to the call for a cleaner, healthier city. As you walk past the newly built public bathhouse, you notice a small group of women standing outside, their faces illuminated by the warm light filtering through the open door. They are discussing the benefits of regular bathing, a practice that has long been overlooked in the poorer districts. The women, once resigned to infrequent baths, now have access to a space where they can wash away the filth of the day. For them, it's a revolution, a small but significant shift in how they approach their own health and well-being. These small acts of self-care, though seemingly simple, are part of a larger movement, a movement that is reshaping the very way Londoners think about hygiene, health, and life. The sun is beginning to set as you make your way toward the edge of the city. The streets, once filled with the endless chatter of vendors and the bustle of everyday life, are now quieter. The evening has brought with it a sense of peace, a temporary reprieve from the constant noise of the city. The reforms are still in their infancy, but the change is palpable. You can feel it in the way people walk, in the conversations they have, in the hope that now fills the air. The cycle of disease which has haunted London for so long is slowly being broken, and with it a new sense of possibility is emerging. The city is far from perfect, but it is no longer the same. The transformation, though still in the early stages, is real. The Great Stink, the event that once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle, has now become a symbol of the city's ability to change. It marks the beginning of a new era for London, one where sanitation, hygiene, and public health are no longer luxuries for the few, but rights for all. The work is far from over and the challenges remain, but for the first time, there is hope. The city is on the verge of something new, something better, and with each small step, the promise of a cleaner, healthier future is becoming more tangible. The days continue to pass, each one bringing more visible change to the city, but the cost of progress is undeniable. For all the improvements being made, for all the signs of hope that have begun to take root in the hearts of the reformers, there are still moments when the weight of the task ahead feels insurmountable. The sewage systems are slowly being built, the streets a little cleaner each day, and the new public health policies begin to take shape. Yet, even as these visible markers of change appear, there is a quiet tension that lingers in the air, a tension born from the realization that real transformation is not just a matter of building infrastructure, but of changing the very attitudes of an entire society. You walk through the city once more, now noticing the quiet hum of new efforts taking place. The people who were once indifferent to the idea of sanitation reform now talk about it in hushed tones, their conversations marked by curiosity and hope. But there is still resistance. The wealthier classes, those who have long been insulated from the suffering of the poor, continue to see these reforms as unnecessary, costly ventures. To them, the old ways, private wells, chamber pots, and shared public baths, are enough. It is only when the visible effects of the lack of hygiene begin to encroach upon their own lives that they are forced to confront the reality of the situation. The city, once so resistant to change, now finds itself at the crossroads of progress and stagnation. It is not just the physical structures being rebuilt, but the very mindset of its citizens that needs to shift. The reformers know that this is the true challenge, to convince the wealthier classes that a healthier, cleaner London is not only beneficial to the poor, but to everyone who lives here. Clean water, proper sanitation, and better public health are not luxuries. They are necessities, but changing the attitudes of the powerful, convincing them to make sacrifices for the greater good, is a task that is proving more difficult than anyone had anticipated. You find yourself reflecting on this as you walk past a new public bathhouse. It's a small thing really, just a building with a few large tubs, but to those who use it, it's a lifeline. The poor, once excluded from any access to proper bathing, now have a place to wash away the grime of their daily lives. The bathhouse is not luxurious, not even close, but it's a step forward. The water is still drawn from the same contaminated sources as before, and it's only a temporary fix, but for the moment, it represents something greater. It's a symbol that change is not only possible, but it's already beginning to happen. But even as you see these small victories, the reality of the situation weighs heavily on your mind. The fight for proper sanitation, for universal access to clean water, is far from over. There are still too many people living in the squalor of the slums, still too many who will never see the benefits of the reforms taking place. The city's wealthy, though starting to take notice, are still hesitant to fully commit to the changes necessary. Their resistance, their fear of losing control, is a powerful force. They fear the costs, the loss of their privilege, and they are reluctant to give up the old ways. The air feels heavier now as you walk past the new public health office, where workers are busy designing the next phase of reform. The discussions are earnest, but there is a sense of weariness in the air. The work is endless, the challenge is overwhelming, and the pace of change is too slow. Still, there are signs of progress. There are fewer outbreaks of cholera, fewer deaths from dysentery. People are beginning to understand that disease is not just a matter of chance, but a result of the conditions in which they live. For the first time, they are beginning to understand that cleanliness is not a luxury. It is a necessity. You stop for a moment, gazing out at the city. The streets are quieter now, as the day winds down and the cool evening air fills your lungs. The sense of progress, though slow, is tangible. The city is being rebuilt, but it is also being reshaped in a more profound way. This is not just about buildings and infrastructure. It is about shifting the mindset of an entire population. It's about teaching people that their health, their well-being, and their survival are intertwined with the health of the city as a whole. The road ahead is still long, but the work being done now is laying the foundation for a healthier future. For a future where the suffering of the past is no longer the standard. As you stand on the edge of your cabin's porch, looking out over the land, you realize that this is the life you have chosen. The struggles, the isolation, the constant work. It is what defines your existence, and as much as it drains you, it also gives you purpose. You are not just surviving, you are living in the only way that the Wild West allows. The night deepens, and the world around you settles into a quiet, almost peaceful rhythm. But you know better than to mistake this quiet for safety. Tomorrow will come, and with it, more work, more challenges, more tests. The cycle never ends, but that's what keeps you going, what gives you strength. To endure, to survive, to find purpose in the struggle. The fire burns low now, its once fierce flames reduced to a quiet smoulder, flickering in the corner of the cabin. Outside, the night has deepened even further, and the vast open landscape stretches endlessly beneath the pale light of the moon. The air is still, almost too still, as if holding its breath, but in the stillness there is something profoundly comforting. The land, though harsh and unyielding, has its own quiet rhythm, its own unspoken promises. It is in this rhythm that you have found your place, where the work never stops, where the cycle continues, and where survival becomes not a goal, but a way of life. You sit back against the wall, the rough surface digging into your back as you try to find a moment of rest. Your eyes grow heavy with exhaustion, and for a moment you allow yourself to close them. But even as the fatigue washes over you, a sense of unease lingers. The rhythm of the land, the hum of the wind outside, the faraway calls of coyotes, it all feels like a reminder that survival is never certain. Each day is a new challenge, and though you've become accustomed to it, there are moments, especially in the quiet of the night, when you wonder how long you can continue. How long can you keep up this relentless pace? But then, as always, you remember that there is no other choice. There is no option to stop, no opportunity to rest for long. In the Wild West, you learn to keep moving forward, to push through the fatigue, the loneliness, and the doubt. Because if you don't, the land will swallow you whole. The harsh reality of the frontier demands resilience, and it demands it every single day. You get to your feet slowly, your joints protesting the movement, but you rise nonetheless. The night air is cold against your skin as you step outside once again. The land around you is shrouded in darkness, but it is a darkness you have come to know well. The stars above flicker faintly, their light far away, but somehow reassuring. The sky is vast and endless, just like the land, and as you stand there, you feel small and insignificant against the backdrop of it all. And yet, in that smallness, there is strength. The very fact that you are here, standing on this land, after everything you've been through, means something. The wind stirs again, cool and biting, but it feels familiar now, like an old friend. You've learned to appreciate the way the wind moves through the dry grass, the way the scent of the earth fills your lungs. The land may be harsh, but it is your land now. You've learned to adapt, to live within its rhythm, even when that rhythm seems unrelenting, even when it wears you down. The cycle of survival, the push and pull of day-to-day life, has become ingrained in you. It is part of your being, as much a part of you as the land itself. You begin to walk slowly, your boots crunching over the dry earth, feeling the weight of each step as if each movement is its own small battle. The sound of your steps is steady, like the heartbeat of the land beneath you. It's the only sound in the vast emptiness. and it feels strangely comforting. It reminds you that you are here, that you are alive, that you are still moving forward. The horizon stretches before you, endless and wide. You can't see the end of it, can't even imagine what lies beyond. But that's the point, isn't it? Out here in the Wild West, there is no end to the road. There is no destination that promises comfort or peace. There is only the journey, the unending cycle of survival, work, and resilience. And you've come to understand that this journey is all there is. The world around you is full of dangers, cattle that can turn on you, storms that can wipe out your crops, wild animals that lurk in the night. But the most insidious danger of all is the one that comes from within. It is the fear of losing hope, the fear of exhaustion that creeps into your mind when you least expect it. It's the realization that no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you endure, there will always be another day of work, another struggle to face, and yet you continue because you know there is no other way. You stop for a moment looking out over the land. The wind whips through the sparse trees and the scent of sagebrush fills your nostrils. You stand there for what feels like an eternity, the quiet of the night wrapping itself around you like a blanket. And then, with a deep breath, you begin to walk again, your steps steady and sure. You know the road ahead is long. You know there will be more challenges, more hardships, but you also know that the only way forward is to keep moving. The land may be unforgiving, but you are just as relentless. You have learned to survive here, and that survival has become your strength. It has become your life. You will continue not because it is easy, but because there is no other choice. As you walk, the quiet stretches on, and you feel the rhythm of it all. The land, the wind, the world around you. The cycle of survival continues, but for now you are at peace. Tomorrow will come with its own challenges, its own struggles, but for tonight, you are content in the quiet, in the solitude, in the knowledge that you are still here, still surviving, still moving forward. The night air grows colder still as you stand alone under the wide sky, the moon casting pale, silvery light over the land. The wind has picked up once again, though it's gentler than before, rustling the dry grasses and carrying the faintest scent of rain, a rare luxury in this dry, desolate place. For a moment you close your eyes and take in the quiet beauty of the night. The stars are scattered across the heavens like diamonds on a dark velvet cloth, their distant glow offering no warmth but somehow comforting in their constancy. Out here, where everything seems to be in constant motion, the stillness feels almost sacred, but even in this moment of calm, you are keenly aware of the balance that teeters between life and death in the Wild West. You take a deep breath, feeling the coolness of the air fill your lungs. The world around you seems frozen, yet there's an undercurrent of anticipation, an unspoken tension that hums beneath the surface of the land. The land may appear still, but beneath the silence you know that danger lurks. This place is never truly peaceful. It is a constant battle, a struggle for survival where every calm moment is a fleeting illusion. The wind carries with it the whisper of storms that may come, the dust from a distant fire, or the movement of a predator that has caught your scent. The land is alive in ways that you cannot always see, but can always feel. You turn and walk back toward the cabin, your boots crunching on the dry earth. The world seems impossibly wide, each step taking you further into its embrace. Yet you know that each step is a risk. The ground beneath you, though solid and unmoving, holds an ever-present threat. The ranch, the cattle, the crops, these things are your life, but they are not guaranteed. The earth offers no promises, only the chance to fight, to endure. You know this by now. It is the law of the land. Inside, the dim light from the lantern casts long, wavering shadows on the rough-hewn walls. The cabin is small, unremarkable, but it is your sanctuary. It is the place where you take refuge from the harshness of the world outside. The fire crackles softly in the hearth, its warmth a welcome relief from the biting cold of the night. You sit down at the small table, your body heavy with exhaustion, but the weariness in your bones is familiar, almost comforting. You've grown accustomed to the fatigue, to the daily strain that comes with surviving out here. In some strange way, it has become part of who you are. As you sit in the quiet, your mind drifts. You think back to the early days of your journey, the excitement, the hope, the adventure that led you here. You remember the stories that were told of fortune, freedom, and opportunity, the promises of a new life in the Wild West. You remember the dreams you had, the optimism you carried with you, but those days feel like a distant memory now, overshadowed by the harsh realities of frontier life. The Wild West does not offer dreams. It demands hard work, resilience, and a willingness to accept that survival is the only victory. The fire burns low, and the quiet of the cabin feels almost suffocating. The silence is a constant companion, and in some ways it is the hardest part of this life. Out here there is no noise from bustling streets, no chatter of neighbors or the laughter of friends. There is only the land, the animals, and the occasional passerby. And even then they come and go, their presence as fleeting as the wind. You reach for your rifle, resting against the wall beside you. It is always within arm's reach, a constant reminder of the dangers that are never far away. Whether it's the wild animals that roam the plains, the threat of outlaws that lurk in the shadows, or the unpredictable nature of the land itself, the rifle is both a tool and a symbol of survival. It is a lifeline, a reminder that out here, you are never truly safe, but only as safe as your ability to defend yourself. But tonight, as you sit in the dim light, you feel a rare sense of calm. The land, though unforgiving, is a part of you now. You've learned its rhythms, its cycles, and its dangers. The quiet moments like this one are brief, but they are a respite from the constant vigilance. You allow yourself to breathe, to relax, just for a moment. But you know that this peace is fleeting. The morning will come, and with it, the cycle will begin again. The land does not rest, and neither can you. The wind picks up again, a faint whistle that moves through the cracks in the cabin, carrying with it the promise of change. The storm that has been threatening all night is near. You can feel it in the air, the weight of the atmosphere, the shift in the breeze. It is a reminder that, while peace may come, it is never permanent. The land will continue to test you. The storm will come, the work will continue, and you will face another day of survival. You rise from your seat, your body aching as you stretch, preparing yourself for the work that will follow. There is no time to waste. The storm may be close, and you know that it's best to secure everything before it hits. The cattle need to be brought in, the firewood needs to be gathered, and the cabin must be ready to withstand whatever the night brings. As you move toward the door, you take one last look at the horizon. The storm clouds are gathering, dark and ominous, but you stand firm. The Wild West may test you, may challenge you, but you've learned to face it head on. There's no other choice. The land will not wait. It will continue its cycle, and so will you. The challenge is never ending, but you have learned, through trial and hardship, that survival is your only victory. The night deepens, and the air around you grows colder still, as if the land itself is drawing a long, slow breath in the stillness. The fire has almost burned out, its warmth a distant memory, replaced by the chill that creeps in through the cracks in the cabin. It's a quiet night, the kind where the only sound is the occasional creak of the wood as the temperature shifts, the wind whispering softly outside. But it is in this silence that you find a strange peace. In the Wild West, where every day is a struggle, it's the stillness of the night that often gives you the momentary illusion of comfort, a brief respite before the relentless cycle begins again. You sit in the dim light of the fire, your legs stretched out before you, your body sore from the day's labor. Your hands are raw from the constant work, the blisters and cuts from the rough tasks that fill your days. Your back aches, your neck stiff from the long hours in the heat, but you take it in stride. The pain has become part of you now, a companion you have learned to live with. In the Wild West, discomfort is constant, but so is resilience. You've learned to push through it, to accept it as part of life here. Every ache, every twinge is a reminder that you are still here, still surviving. Outside, the wind picks up again, this time with a sharpness that cuts through the air, sending a chill straight to your bones. The sky, which was once clear and full of stars, is now overcast, the clouds hanging low and heavy, threatening a storm that could change everything. The land, so still just moments ago, is now filled with the sound of the wind picking up speed, howling through the barren landscape, shaking the sparse trees and rustling the dry grasses. The wind feels like a warning, a reminder that the weather can change in an instant, and that the cycle of survival here is as much about weathering the storms as it is about enduring the work. You stand slowly, your legs stiff from sitting for too long, and move toward the door of the cabin. The cold air hits you as soon as you step outside, the wind biting at your skin, the smell of dust and sagebrush heavy in the air. The world around you is vast and empty, the land stretching out into the distance as far as the eye can see. There's something both beautiful and terrifying about it. The sheer immensity of it all. The land, untouched by human hands, seems eternal, and yet it is constantly changing, constantly shifting. In this place, you've learned that nothing is permanent. Not the weather, not the crops, not even the people. Only the cycle remains unbroken. You take a deep breath, the cool air filling your lungs, and for a moment you close your eyes, listening to the wind as it sweeps across the plains. It feels like the land is speaking to you, calling you to continue, to press on, even when everything inside you wants to rest. The quiet of the night is filled with the whispers of nature, and you find a strange solace in it. There is no one else here, no one to share the burden with, but in this moment you realize that the land itself has become a part of you. You are bound to it, tied to its rhythm, its pulse. But even in this connection to the land, there is a flicker of hope, a thread that runs through everything you do. It's the hope that one day things will be different, that the land will yield its bounty, that the work will bear fruit, that one day the cycle will end and there will be a moment of peace, a moment where survival is not the goal, but living. It's a fragile hope, one that is easily crushed by the harsh realities of the West, but it is hope nonetheless. It keeps you going, keeps you standing in the face of the cold, of the wind, of the overwhelming loneliness. You think of the life you left behind, the friends, the family, the comfort of a world that was not defined by survival. There are memories of laughter, of shared meals, of moments of warmth and connection. But out here, those memories are distant, fading away as the years go by. The Wild West demands too much, asks for too much in return for too little. It's a place that takes and takes, and you're never sure if you'll ever get anything back. But even so, the memory of those other lives, the hope for something more, keeps you tethered to this world. The wind howls louder now, the storm drawing nearer, and you can feel the temperature drop even further. The chill bites at your skin, the cold sharp enough to make you shiver. But you stand still for a moment, letting it wash over you. This is the moment when the land tests you once again. Can you endure the cold? Can you endure the storm? Can you continue even when the world feels like it's about to break apart? It's in these moments when the elements threaten to overwhelm you that you are reminded of what survival truly means. It's not just about staying alive, it's about standing firm in the face of adversity. You move back into the cabin, closing the door against the cold, but the chill still lingers in the air. The wind outside picks up again, the storm now unmistakable, but you've faced worse. You know that storms come and go. You've lived through them before. They are just another part of the cycle, another challenge that must be faced. And so you sit by the fire again, the warmth of the flames a small comfort against the growing storm. You let the quietness fill you for a moment, the sense of solitude that is so much a part of life here. You are alone, but you are not defeated. Tomorrow will come, as it always does, and with it, another day of struggle, another day of survival. But for tonight, you allow yourself a few moments of peace. You breathe in deeply, feeling the weight of the day lift just for a moment. The land may be harsh, and the journey may be endless, but the one thing you know for certain is that you will continue. The Wild West may break you, but it will never break your will to survive. The storm rages outside, its howling winds battering against the walls of the cabin. The sound of the rain, heavy and relentless, is like the pounding of an invisible fist on the earth. You sit by the hearth, staring into the fire, the flames dancing and flickering in the dim light. The warmth is a fleeting comfort against the cold that seeps in through every crack, every gap in the wood. The fire crackles, sending small pops and hisses into the air, but you can't ignore the storm outside. Its fury seems to echo the storms inside you, the ones that have been building for so long, the ones that have been there from the very first moment you stepped foot into this wild, unforgiving land. The winds whistle through the cracks of the cabin, and every gust seems to push at the walls, as though trying to break in. The land, it seems, is alive, pushing back against the settlers who dare to call it home. You can feel the storm's anger, its power as it rages outside. It's a reminder that no matter how hard you try to tame the land, no matter how much you endure, it is still beyond your control. You cannot stop the winds, the rain, the dust storms, the droughts, or any of the other forces of nature that plague this unforgiving place. You are at the mercy of the elements, just like everyone who came before you. And like them, you have to learn to survive. The storm is a familiar foe, one that has come many times before. You've weathered worse, and you know this will pass too, but that doesn't make it any easier. The storm is not just a physical force, it is a reminder of how fragile your existence is here. It is a symbol of the constant struggle that life on the frontier demands. Even when you feel like you've found your rhythm, when you think you can finally breathe, nature reminds you that survival is not guaranteed. You are never truly in control. You rise from your seat, your body aching from the day's labor, and move toward the window. The rain is pouring down in sheets, and the wind bends the trees in half. You can't see much through the storm, only the blurred shapes of the land, distorted by the heavy downpour. But it doesn't matter. The storm is out there, and there's nothing you can do to change it. There's nothing you can do but wait for it to pass. The cabin creaks under the pressure of the wind, the walls groaning as if they too are trying to withstand the storm. You check the door, ensuring it is secured tightly, then look around at the simple furnishings inside, your small, humble life here. There are no luxuries, no comforts to offer solace in moments like this. Everything is bare bones, practical, built for survival. And yet, as you look around, you find a strange sense of peace in the simplicity of it all. In the chaos of the storm, there is nothing else to do but wait, nothing else to focus on but the next moment of survival. The fire in the hearth burns steadily, casting a warm glow across the cabin. The sound of the rain against the roof is steady, almost soothing now, like the world is lulling itself to sleep. The wind, however, still howls, a constant reminder that the land is wild, untamed. It cannot be mastered, only endured. You sit back down by the fire, the warmth of the flames a small comfort against the cold that still lingers in the cabin. Your muscles ache, your body worn from the endless work, but you have learned to ignore it. You have learned to accept the exhaustion as part of the rhythm of life here. There is no room for weakness. There is only the land and your will to survive. In the flickering light of the fire, you reflect on how far you've come. When you first arrived here, you were filled with excitement, with dreams of the open land and the opportunities it promised. The reality, as you've learned, is far harsher. The dreams of fortune and freedom have faded, replaced by the relentless struggle to stay alive. There are no guarantees, no promises that the next day will be better. There is only the land and the work, and yet there's a part of you that can't help but feel a quiet pride in your resilience. Despite the storms, both literal and metaphorical, you are still here. You are still surviving. The storm continues its fury outside, but inside the cabin, the warmth from the fire offers a temporary respite. You can feel your body relax, your mind slowing as the sounds of the storm fade into the background. The cycle of survival continues, and you are a part of it. The storm will pass, just like every other challenge you've faced. And when it does, the land will remain, waiting for the next test, the next trial. But for tonight, you are safe, and that is enough. You allow yourself to rest, knowing that the morning will bring more work, but also more chances to endure, to survive. Tomorrow the storm will be just another memory, but tonight it is the land's way of reminding you that survival is not a guarantee. It's a constant, relentless struggle. The storm is a test, a reminder that in the Wild West, you are always at the mercy of forces beyond your control. But as you sit by the fire, you find solace in knowing that, at least for tonight, you are still here. you are still alive. The storm rages through the night, a powerful force that seems to reach into every corner of the land. But eventually, the howling wind starts to calm, and the thunder rolls farther away, fading into the distance. The rain, which had once battered the cabin with such intensity, slowly turns to a gentle drizzle, tapping lightly on the roof like the soft breath of the earth itself. The land, so harsh and relentless, begins to quiet, as though it too is pausing for a moment of respite, and in this brief silence you can almost hear the land breathe with you, a shared, unspoken rhythm of survival. As the first light of dawn begins to creep over the horizon, the night storm slowly recedes into the memory of the land. The cool air is thick with moisture, and the ground beneath you feels soft, damp, a welcome relief from the dry, cracked earth that usually stretches for miles. The sky, now a pale shade of blue, is still clouded with remnants of the storm, but the promise of a new day is evident. The air is fresher, cleaner, as if the land itself is wiping away the dust and weariness of the past days. You take in a deep breath, filling your lungs with the cool morning air, and for a fleeting moment, the weight of survival lifts from your shoulders. You step outside, feeling the wet earth beneath your boots, the smell of rain mixed with the scent of sagebrush and pine filling your nostrils. The landscape around you has changed overnight, softened by the storm's passage. The grass is glistening with droplets of water, the leaves on the sparse trees tremble from the storm's residue, and the distant mountains stand stark and proud against the clearing sky. Everything looks almost serene, but you know better. This calm is temporary. The land will test you again, but for now, the world feels different, as if the storm itself was a reminder that change, even when unwanted, can bring renewal. The silence of the storm's aftermath is profound, and for a moment you allow yourself to simply stand still and take it all in. The work still lies ahead. There are animals to tend to, crops to check, fences to mend, but for now, you are reminded of the small, simple victories. The storm, the wind, the dangers of the land, they are all part of the cycle, a cycle that never stops, but this moment, this brief pause, gives you a sense of peace, however fleeting. You check on the cattle, their movements slow as they graze in the wet grass, their coats glistening with water droplets. They seem at ease now, content to rest in the aftermath of the storm. You know that the cattle too have learned to survive, their instincts guiding them through the hardships of the land. They rely on you, just as you rely on them, and in this mutual dependence there is a shared resilience. The storm has tested both of you, but it has not broken you. You will continue, just as they will continue, because survival is not about avoiding challenges. It is about overcoming them, adapting to them, and finding ways to endure. The crops, though battered by the storm, will need to be checked. You walk to the small patch of land where you've been tending to them, the moisture in the air feeling like a rare gift. The plants, though still fragile, have withstood the storm, their leaves wet but intact. You take a moment to inspect them, feeling the weight of the work that still lies ahead. There's always more to do, always more to tend to. But as you touch the wet soil, feeling the coolness beneath your fingers, there's a sense of accomplishment. The land, for all its harshness, has given something back. For now, it is enough. The sun begins to climb higher in the sky, its warmth gradually replacing the chill of the night. You feel the first rays on your skin, and they feel like a reminder that the storm has passed, that the land is once again opening up to you. The challenges that the Wild West presents are always present, always shifting, always waiting, but you've learned to face them head on. And in this quiet moment, as the world around you begins to come to life once more, you find a new strength. The storm, though fierce, has left something behind. It has made the land softer, more malleable, and in a way it has done the same for you. As the morning continues, you know that the work is not over. The cycle will continue as it always does. The tasks will pile up, the challenges will remain, but for now, there is a sense of renewal. The storm has reminded you that there is always a chance for change, a chance for things to improve, even in the harshest of conditions. It is a small victory, a momentary pause, but it is enough to fuel you for the day ahead. You stand on the porch, watching the land slowly wake up from its storm-induced slumber, and for a moment you feel a sense of calm. The world is vast, the challenges unyielding, but in this quiet, gentle morning, you remember why you stay. You stay because you have survived. You stay because the land, in all its harshness, is still yours to claim. And you stay because, despite everything, there is always the possibility of renewal. The morning has arrived in full force, the soft light of the sun now breaking through the clouds that still linger from the night's storm. The land, though still wet from the downpour, feels different, as if it has been reborn. The air is crisp and fresh, a stark contrast to the dust and dryness that often permeates this place. The trees and grasses, though battered by the storm, stand tall, the droplets of water on them sparkling like tiny jewels in the sunlight. Everything seems renewed, as if the storm has washed away more than just the physical dirt. It has cleared away the heaviness, if only for a moment. You step outside, your boots sinking slightly into the damp earth with each step, the feeling of the wet soil oddly comforting. The land has been quiet, as it always is after a storm, but the stillness holds a different kind of power now. It's a quiet that speaks of resilience, of nature's ability to regenerate, to adapt. Even after the most violent storms, the land continues to stand firm. And so you too stand, feeling the rhythm of survival pulse within you. It is a shared cycle between the land and yourself, one that is ever present, ever changing. As you look out across the horizon, you see the outlines of the mountains, now bathed in the golden glow of the morning sun. They stand tall and firm, as if they have witnessed everything, as if they have seen countless storms and yet remain unbroken. The sight of them reminds you of the many challenges ahead, the work that must be done, the crops that need tending, the animals that require care. But there is something in the beauty of the scene that gives you pause. For a moment you feel that the weight of the world is not as heavy. Perhaps it's the promise of a new day. Perhaps it's the fleeting sense of peace that comes after the storm. But in this moment, you are reminded that survival is not just about enduring the harshness. It's about finding moments like this, when the world feels manageable, even beautiful. The land may be unforgiving, but you know now that it is not just about the struggle. It's about finding balance within the struggle. The storm that had ravaged the landscape is now behind you, and though the remnants of it linger, there is a sense of renewal that fills the air. It's as though the land itself has been given a fresh start, just as you have. The cycle of life here is relentless, but there is always the possibility of change, the possibility that things might get better, even if only for a brief moment. The animals are grazing again, their movements slow and deliberate, as if they too are taking a moment to recover. You walk toward them, checking on each one, making sure they are well. The cattle, though a little skittish from the storm, are calm now. The horses seem content, their coats damp but strong. Even the dogs, who had been restless during the storm, now settle beside you, sensing the calm that has descended on the land. You move to check on the crops, the ones that had been battered by the storm. Some of the plants are broken, their leaves torn by the winds, but others remain standing, their roots strong in the damp soil. You kneel down to inspect them, your hands moving gently over the wet earth, feeling the texture of it, the coolness, the moisture that is a rarity here. You've seen worse, and you know that nature will find a way to heal itself. The plants will grow back, stronger in some places, weaker in others, but they will continue their cycle. They too are a part of the land's rhythm, its endless motion. And so you rise again, knowing that the work will continue, but also knowing that this moment of peace is enough for now. The day stretches out before you, full of possibilities and tasks that must be done. You cannot afford to linger in the stillness for too long, but as you walk back to the cabin, the weight of the land no longer feels as heavy. It's as though the storm has reminded you that survival is not about strength alone. It's about endurance, about patience, about recognizing the moments when the land offers its peace. The cycle will continue, the work will continue, and the challenges will remain. But there is something in this quiet morning that fills you with a renewed sense of purpose. The sun climbs higher in the sky, and the warmth of the day begins to chase away the remnants of the storm. The world feels different now, lighter, even as the work begins again. You step into the cabin to begin your day, your heart lighter than it has been in a long time. The road ahead is long, and there will be more storms, more struggles, but for now there is a sense of calm. The Wild West may always test you, but it is in these moments of renewal, these brief pauses between the storms, that you find your strength. The morning light filters softly through the small window, casting gentle rays across the rough-hewn wood of the cabin. The day is calm, the world outside now bathed in sunlight, the storm's fury left behind in the distant horizon. You stand for a moment at the door, watching the land breathe again, the stillness that remains after the chaos of the night. The air feels fresh, crisp, as if it has been washed clean, offering you a moment of peace before the work of the day begins. You breathe in deeply, savoring the quiet, the brief lull before the next challenge. But deep down, you know it's fleeting. The land has a way of testing you, of keeping you on edge. The storm has passed, but what comes next is always unknown. The first sounds of the day break the silence. Chirping birds, the rustling of animals moving in the underbrush, the creak of the wood as the cabin settles with the rising sun. The world outside is waking up, just as you are, and soon the reality of the Wild West will pull you back into its ceaseless rhythm. There's work to be done, tasks that can't be ignored. The cattle need to be moved to a new pasture. The crops need attention, and the fences are always in need of repair. But in these quiet moments, as you stand looking out over the land, there's a certain peace that settles into your bones. It's not a peace born of comfort, but of acceptance. The acceptance that survival here, though grueling, has become second nature. You step outside, the cool morning air filling your lungs. It's a refreshing change from the dryness of the land, the dust that always seems to cling to everything. The earth beneath your feet is still damp from the storm, the moisture a rare gift. You pause for a moment, letting the sensation of the cool earth seep into your boots. It's a simple pleasure, but it's one that reminds you that, even here, there are moments of relief. The land around you seems vast, endless. The hills in the distance, bathed in soft light, look like a place of refuge, a place untouched by the hard hands of the settlers. But you know better. You know that the land is as harsh as it is beautiful, and that the promise of freedom here comes with a price. There is no refuge in the Wild West, not truly. There is only survival, and survival is a delicate thing, fragile as the morning mist that dissipates as the sun rises higher. You walk toward the barn, the soft crunch of the earth beneath your boots, a steady rhythm in the stillness. The animals are already awake, moving about, their low sounds filling the air as you make your way toward them. The barn smells of hay, of earth and animals, a smell you've come to accept as part of your world now. You open the door and the warm scent of the barn mingles with the cool morning air. The cattle are grazing, their movements slow and deliberate as they adjust to the quiet of the morning. There is peace in their simple existence, but even that peace is fleeting. You know that every day, every hour, the land demands more from you. But for now, the animals are content, and so are you. As you check on them, moving from one to the next, you think about the storm, about how it felt to stand in the midst of it, to hear the wind howl and the rain beat against the cabin. The storm, though terrifying, was a reminder of the power of the land. It showed you how little control you truly have here. The Wild West does not cater to your needs. It does not give you peace. It simply exists, indifferent to your struggle. It tests you, and if you are strong enough, if you are willing to endure, it allows you to survive. You finish with the animals and step outside again, moving toward the crops. The morning sun casts long shadows across the land as you walk, the grass wet with dew beneath your feet. The plants, though battered by the storm, are holding on. You kneel down to inspect them, your hands brushing over the damp soil. There is something deeply grounding about the earth, about the way it clings to your fingers, as though it is giving you a piece of itself. Even in the harshest of conditions, there is life. The land takes, but it also gives. It's a reminder that there is always hope, even when things seem bleak. You straighten up, wiping the dirt from your hands onto your pants, and take a long look at the field. The crops will grow, despite the storm. They may be bruised, but they are not broken. The land will always fight back. It's a lesson you've learned time and time again. There is a resilience in nature that mirrors your own. The The storm may come, but it will pass, and the land will continue its cycle. And so will you. The sun climbs higher in the sky now, the warmth growing stronger. The morning is slipping away, and soon the work will begin in earnest. There is no time to linger. The tasks at hand are waiting, and you know that the day will be full, just as every day is. But in this moment, you allow yourself to stand still for a moment longer, to breathe in the fresh air, to feel the connection between yourself and the land. It's not much, but it's enough. The storm has passed, and with it, there is a chance for a new beginning. Tomorrow, the work will begin again. The cycle will continue. The challenges, the hardships, they will never end. But for now, there is peace in the simple act of surviving. The storm has reminded you of the land's power, but it has also shown you something else, that resilience is the key. To survive here, you must be willing to face the storms and continue, no matter how fierce the winds may blow. The morning sun now shines fully across the land, casting long shadows on the earth as the first light of day fully breaks the lingering darkness of the night. The storm has passed, leaving the world calm, almost serene. The sky is clear now, a pale blue stretching endlessly above you, and the air feels fresh with the aftertaste of rain. The land, which has been shaped by endless forces, by the wind, the storms, the droughts, seems to breathe a sigh of relief. The soil is soft under your boots, damp and welcoming. For a moment you stand still, allowing yourself to take it all in. The warmth of the sun on your face, the soft rustling of the grass in the breeze, the distant calls of birds returning to the sky. It's a rare moment of quiet peace, a fleeting sense of relief from the harsh demands of survival. You know, though, that peace never lasts long here. It never does. The land, as beautiful and raw as it is, doesn't allow for long reprieves. There is always more work to do, more tasks to be completed, and the cycle of survival begins again. Yet in this quiet moment, you allow yourself to simply exist, to breathe. The morning sun feels like a reminder that life, even here, is still possible, still worth living, no matter how hard the days are. The cattle are grazing nearby, calm after the storm, their movements slow and measured. You check on them as you always do. The barn is still, quiet, as though it too has exhaled a breath after the storm's passing. You walk slowly, checking each one, inspecting their coats, their eyes, ensuring they're content. They too are part of this endless cycle, their survival intertwined with yours. You know that for them, the struggle is constant too. The land will always be unforgiving, but there is strength in knowing that each day is another step forward, another moment of survival achieved. You pause for a moment, looking across the land, the wide, expansive horizon before you, dotted with the silhouettes of distant mountains. They stand firm, unyielding, like sentinels over the land. You've learned to respect them, to understand that they too are part of this world, part of the never-ending cycle. They are constant, just as the land beneath your feet is constant. They have witnessed the years pass, the struggles of countless others, and they will stand long after you are gone. But even in the face of that eternity, there's a quiet resolve within you. You too will stand. You will face another day, another test, and continue to endure. The land does not show mercy, it simply demands, and you have learned to respond. You don't know what tomorrow will bring, or the day after that, but you know that for now, you are still here, still alive, and so you continue your work step by step, knowing that the land will continue to test you, to challenge you, but you have also learned that in this rhythm, in this cycle, there is strength, there is resilience, there is life. Every day, no matter how grueling, is a victory, and for now, that victory is enough. As you finish your morning tasks, you look again to the horizon, the same horizon that has witnessed countless others come and go, the same horizon that stretches on forever. You take a deep breath, the crisp air filling your lungs, and for a brief moment, the vastness of the land no longer feels like a weight. Instead, it feels like a promise. The promise that, despite everything, you have endured, and tomorrow, when the sun rises once again, you will rise with